Good morning, everybody. It's Asha here, and I hope you are so far having a good Sunday. Very happy to be here as always. Thank you to Melanie for inviting me. And this week we are starting our series on healing and how we heal. So I thought, what does that mean to me as someone who is witchy and into spiritual alchemy and has been doing psychic healing for about 20 years now, a little over 20 years actually. And so today I hope to communicate with you the things that have been important to me along the journey and that have helped me, and maybe some things that you haven't heard of before, I'm not sure. But in any case, that's where we're going to go today to start our healing. To start our healing. Okay, I'll just say it that way. So when I start to do these talks, I stop and I open my space to make a clean and clear space, and I ask for intuition. And I do it basically like I would do a spiritual healing session and a psychic healing session. And then I will use a journal method to actually start to write and just see what comes up. And this week, I have been pondering this for weeks, and I was like, geez, I know I had a mission when I signed up for this talk, but it's just not coming together. I'm not sure. So I opened my space and I started to write, and right away, the first thing that I heard was, shut up, you sniveling little whiner, which does not sound very spiritual. And, I'm not going to say that it's not, because it's just part of the process. But that is what I heard, and I recognized it immediately for what it was. And that was my adult self telling the child part of me to be quiet and get out of the way because I have things to do. And that is the antithesis of healing. So let's just start there. As most of you know, I have a project called the Fiona Project, and Help for Survivors, which is based on child sexual abuse and recovering from child sexual abuse and preventing that. And most of my life, I had all of these symptoms that bing, 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 bing line up that something had happened, and I was suffering with the symptoms of that, but I did not remember. And most of my life, I prided myself on being smart and knowing the way through things, and always being one step ahead. And, there were all kinds of stuff that were symptoms that we don't need to belabor. But part of that was I was very assertive, very much a go-getter, and I did not have time for the little part that had been wounded. I did not have time for the part that needed care and attention and love and support, because I had things to do. And that is the antithesis of healing. We all have this child part within us, and anybody who hasn't done any what they call inner child work, it's like, ooh, yay, let's get new-agey. It sounds like something that's kind of frou-frou, but it's really not. It's a really deep process that is beneficial to everyone and anyone. And when we ignore that part of ourselves, we're really missing out on a whole bunch of blessings and gifts. So the child part will bring intuition. It brings the awe and wonder, the magic of life, the appreciation for the magic of the universe that happens around us every day. It's the child part that brings all of those gifts. It's the child part that knows how to play. It's the child part that brings joy. It's the child part that has innocence, which we all could use some of right now, and especially when we're looking at our fellow people. It's the child part that is able to say, hey, this hurts, and cry. It's the child part that is able to be sad. They don't monitor their feelings. Like adults, as adults, we take our feelings and we compartmentalize them. And we say, I'm too busy for this. I'm not going to process this now. I have to do this. I can't grieve now. I stop whining. I have work to do. You're not good enough. You're being too aggressive. Whatever it is. Children don't do that. Children just feel their feelings. They march through it in the moment because they haven't been taught that those feelings are inappropriate. How many times do you see someone who is somebody expresses their feelings, and people around them, not everyone, but many people are uncomfortable with feelings. They are uncomfortable with their own feelings, and they are uncomfortable with the feelings of others around them. So what do? They swoop in and they try to fix instantly. Their first reaction is, well, let's think of it another way so you don't have to feel that feeling. You really should focus on this. I've seen it in spiritual circles so many times. There's all this bypass and stifling because somehow we've been taught or come to believe that feeling a negative emotion, which I think is a huge disservice in labeling it negative. Emotions are emotions. They are there. They're part of the human experience. They're to be experienced. They give us insight and inspiration into what is leading us into our highest joy, what is leading us into our highest good, and what is holding us down, or what have we not processed yet. And until we stop labeling these emotions as negative and positive and trying to avoid these negative emotions, we are not fully experiencing the life experience that we came here to have. We're not fully present. We're not having all of the options available to us to become the greatest, to attain our highest level of knowledge and experience that we can have from being here. So when those not negative emotions come up, I'm going to say they're not negative. Sadness is not negative. Grieving is not negative. It is healing. It is absolutely liberating. It is the thing that you need to do after experiencing a great loss. I was 48, maybe 47, before I had the courage and skill set as an adult to recognize the child part coming up and be able to allow her to grieve the loss of her innocence. To be able to say, it's okay. I'm here. I'm the adult. I'm with you. You're going to be okay. Just allow it to be whatever it is. Allow yourself to see and remember what you need to see and remember. Allow yourself to feel the feelings. And quite frankly, I had an experience, I remember being in my living room. Now this is after doing a lot of work on child sexual abuse and going public with Fiona and all of the things that I've done. And the video was a huge healing experience for me because I had to see what I saw and face all the feelings and the grief that I held for so many others, because there are so many of us. And still, years deeply into this process, I finally had a moment where it was just coming up, and instead of redirecting and squashing it down and managing it, so because it's a negative emotion, I just allowed it. And I reassured her that she was safe and she was okay. And because I've done some child work, I recognize the part, and I'm able to do that. And I have finally, after many, many years, embraced that part of myself and recognized her as valuable and important and intrinsic to my whole wellness and my whole being. I don't have joy and wonder and my even probably the level of my creative gifts and my intuition without her. So I was able to really nurture her and be present and just hold space for her. And luckily my partner Paul is amazing, and he was with me. And I looked like a freaking lunatic because, you know, it opened up this huge Pandora's box. And I remember sobbing and screaming, which, you know, so what's your reaction when I say that? I was sobbing and screaming. You're thinking, oh, please, lady. Maybe you're not, but these are some of the things that may be coming up. Oh, please, lady, you've got to be kidding me. Sobbing and screaming, you're 50 years old. You know what? When we hold these thoughts in our mind about how we look and how we should act, and you're an adult and you need to do this and you need to do that, the part that needed the healing was the little child. You know, remember kids that throw tantrums? I didn't have a tantrum, but I did allow myself the space to let it all out and to be afraid and allow whatever memory needed to come anyway. And I screamed and sobbed. And that was a pinnacle point of healing for me. So let's unpack that just a little bit more. What happened in that moment? And I've had these moments so many times. I'm so grateful. I'm so fortunate to have come across the tools that I've come across so that I can have these experiences. So what experience am I talking about? That was a magical and mystical moment. And it came because I had courage. And because I knew to embrace that little part, the little Asha inside, I was able to step into being comforted by the universe in that moment. And so what happened was just this profound depth of grieving that I had never experienced and I had not allowed, and this profound depth of healing. Now, in the end, I didn't see anything regarding my abuse beyond what I had already known. But in becoming willing to see it, and in being able to support that aspect of myself and having courage and giving her courage and holding her, I was able to make room for whatever did or did not happen, and it was a profound moment. Now, I'm going to tell you, I hope Paul doesn't get upset with me for sharing this, but he swore that in that moment, in his mind's eye, he could see. It makes me misty. He could see like an angel's arms and wings around me. It was that deep. And I felt it, even though I didn't see it because I was in my moment. But that was profound healing. That was a mystical moment. I've had other moments like that. I remember doing a session, multiple sessions, where I went in to 3 different kinds of modalities of healing. This has happened. And I allow myself to suspend disbelief long enough to allow whatever needs to process. And I choose healing. Let me say that again. I choose healing. And you're saying, well, how can you just choose healing? I mean, it's not like it's magic. Well, maybe it is. Maybe for some people at some times, in some moments, it is magic. When I go in and I am willing to stop judging what I need to look like or how others are going to perceive me, then I am able to fully experience whatever is happening. Sometimes it's a meltdown. When I was recording the Fiona video, I remember a moment where I just had to open myself to get to the emotion of the music. And I saw all the children represented before me in my mind's eye as I was singing. And I just lost it. I collapsed on the floor in a huge weeping pile of mush. And I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. And Jesse Owen Aston, my producer, an amazing human being at the deepest level and so talented, he was so supportive. And I was so grateful to have Paul there as well, who has been an incredible support in my life. And they allowed me my moment. And I allowed me my moment. And I chose to allow that moment. No matter what they thought, I chose healing. In a breathwork session, I went to this shaman workshop, and I remember her saying, okay, don't look at that picture too long as we passed around before the workshop, because the experience that you have might represent in magnitude based on how long you looked at the picture. I was like, whatever. So I looked at the picture partway through the workshop, I start having this, I forget what she called it, but it was basically this big shamanistic breathwork epiphany, where I saw and heard things that shook me to my core. And I had to choose. Do I choose my highest good? Do I choose healing and what I came here for? Do I choose awakening? No matter what anybody thinks of me in this room, and I knew some of the people, and what there was, she's a drama queen, she's a this, she's a that. Do I choose to sit in the experience and allow it to unfold within me? And somebody told me once, miracles are never one-sided. And I loved that, because I had this experience where I was, it was definitely a miracle. And I picked up this guy. I forget how it went. Anyway, he helped me. And he said, miracles are never one-sided. I needed to hear that today. And I remember that, because in choosing my experience in these moments, when I choose to be vulnerable, which is hard because there are so many fixers among us around, always trying to prevent us from having that feeling and impart their wisdom, because they are uncomfortable with my feelings, because they are uncomfortable with their own feelings. And they think that it's something to be passed by, which we do call spiritual bypass, which is a whole nother talk. But it's not something to be passed by. These are my deepest and most profound moments, and anybody who chooses them, I'm certain, will find the same. So in choosing to allow this to unfold, I don't know how it impacted others in the room, but perhaps someone else also benefited from my willingness to be vulnerable and my willingness to experience the experience. And on the other side, it's magical. It's liberating. That shamanistic experience gave me purpose and vision and understanding of myself as a soul being and what I came here to do. I mean, that was profound. And had I shut that down because I was uncomfortable being seen in my rawness, I never would have had the gifts of that moment. And this does tie back to the child, because children do not process all this stuff like adults have been taught. Oh, well, you don't look right. So if we can honor that part of ourselves, and we can choose courage and choose healing, it changes not only our lives, but the lives of everyone around us. I chose to do Fiona and be public in spite of the terror of ridicule and people telling me it's not true, and what might unfold. I chose it anyway. And I know I have helped many, many, many people to heal as a result of that. And it healed me too in the process. So in wrapping up today, my thoughts are, if you haven't done any child work, maybe look into it. It's not as hokey and silly as it sounds. It can be magical and inspiring and deeply healing, and get you back in touch with the awe, the wonder, the intuitive self, the ability to express, the ability to feel, and the ability to process in the moment without judgment. And I am listening. If I want more joy, get back in touch with the child self and stop caring what anybody else thinks about me. Be willing to be vulnerable and courageous, and know that there are fixers all around us, and they will probably step up and try to fix you if you're vulnerable in front of them. But you know what? That's their stuff. It's not yours. It's not yours. You're choosing courage. There's a book for survivors of child sexual abuse called The Courage to Heal. And there's a reason why it says that. Because it takes courage, and it takes persistence, and it takes willingness to feel, and it takes vulnerability. And so courage. Every time I walk through my fear and I do the thing that terrifies me, I find, hey, I'm still here. And not only that, I am better for it. And on the other side, I can help myself, I can help others, and I expand. It's amazing. And it takes commitment. Healing is not, most of the time, a boom, lightning bolt from the universe and it's over. It's a path. So today I'll close with that. I hope you got something out of this talk. I hope you got some inspiration and maybe some little pieces to give you some ideas to try and see the world through a different lens that includes vulnerability, courage, commitment, healing, and the childlike wonder and awe of being fully in the moment, fully open to whatever's next, whatever's now, and letting go some of the judgments of yourself and of what others think of you. Have a wonderful day. Blessed be. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you again soon.